I grew up in Vegas. But my father was a world traveler, so I experienced more of the world than most people get to experience.
Your father did what type of job?
He was an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur? Okay, that sounds very
Vague.
Yeah, the drug. I think I saw this in one of your bits. He's like a drug dealer, like he's a mobster.
He was.
You literally sound like you have the personality of
the daughter.
I am the Godfather's daughter.
I know, but I don't actually have a really sweet soul, which you know.
Yeah, I know, but
that's the weird part. I sound more aggressive than I am.
Yeah, I because I've met a lot of characters like you, I was able to see like, oh, this is a facade.
Yeah,
this is nothing. This is just the really tough shell of the turtle that protects a really fragile body inside that just really wants to hug.
But now actually, the persona on stage is definitely a part of me. It's my alter ego, and she's been a part of me for over 50 years. But in real life, I can get much more. I'm not as tough. Like I in real life, I can sit with you. I mean, I have a persona on stage, right?
Okay.
But in real life, I can sit with people and go, yeah, it's hard, and cry, and where I couldn't do that before.
Because what? Because you felt like you'd feel weak. You'd feel exposed.
Weak. Yeah, I felt weak. I felt exposed because I also carried on the story of what I was told of who I was. So you get told long enough that your personality's too big, you're the problem, you're like, don't be that way. Let me send you to etiquette class, and let me send you to dancing class, and let me pull out all the shit in you that makes you brilliant and let me get you in that box because I live in that box and I'm more comfortable in it. And if you're out of it, you're now making me uncomfortable. And then the cycle goes. So unraveling, I had a crazy childhood, but unraveling that, and I've unraveled it through my children.
Interesting. So when you were raising them up, we should clap at a certain point, but I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. How old were you when you how old was the first kid when you started saying, oh, I'm noticing the same actions that my parents did and now I'm going to change them?
My son, I pretty sure was 4. And it was at a time where time out was like the big selling point. Put your child in time out. Put them in a chair in the corner and face their face against the wall so they know that they've done wrong, right? So I noticed that when things wouldn't go right, I would lose my shit really quickly. And I would threaten, I'm going to take a 4-year-old. Okay, a 4-year-old. Let's just get some perspective. A 4-year-old, and I'm like, you're gonna go. A timeout did not last in my house, but I would say threatening things like, I'm gonna take this away from you forever. Okay, well, first of all, you lose any validity when you start throwing in threats.
But you don't know this. Like, you don't know that you seeing that, oh, this makes me lose threat is a meta vision on what's happening. Because I have my stepmom. Never saw this. She still is trying to be like, why don't you guys respect me? Like, why don't you guys? I'm gonna yell until you guys respect me, and they're like, no.
Because Sam, the thing is consciousness, being aware of who you are and how you move, and you know this is so difficult. When you start looking at yourself, you can't unsee it. Like, you even try to go back to the person. Like, there's points where you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. I don't even want to, I want to go back and sit at the table with a bunch of moms and just talk shit about dumb things. Where are you getting your face shot up? Oh my God, I hate my husband. These kids. I mean, my kid, you want to go back to the trivial conversations. You want to unsee that the person you're living with isn't like that you can get through it with them. You want to actually go, you know what? It's okay that they're kind of an asshole. I can get past this, or it's okay that we keep running into the same problem.
But you don't see. I don't think you'll be able to see that this is the same problem. Like it takes a while for you to be like, oh, there's a pattern here.
But you have to make a conscious choice to change what's happening, and the only way to make a conscious choice is by having something really heavy happen. Whether for you, it was in COVID.
And actually, no, it was like that wasn't still. No. The COVID thing was not even like that. It was almost like Jesus called and I missed it. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. He was like, okay, let's try again. And he tried with another disaster.
Okay, but what was the first Jesus call?
The like severe mental illness, the OCD, the debilitating OCD and panic attacks.
And when was that?
That was in COVID.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So COVID, that's what I was trying to say. COVID, when you hit COVID, that took you into what we would call in the spiritual world a dark night of the soul.
Yes.
Right? So you now are battling. So where some people go out and do ayahuasca or microdose, I don't know if you've done that. Have you done
Of
that?
course.
Oh, you have?
It's in my stars. I was watching some dumb thing about astrology, and somebody said about, if somebody has that many suns in their system, I have no idea. That means that they will be a microdosy. Like
it will be okay.
It's in them. It's
okay,
the dopamine.
Really?
The idea of you're a party. You're like what is it? The fire. I think the fire element. I have a lot of fire element.
You have a lot
in
of
me.
fire.
And fire people. Again, I'm very new to this. I don't like. I'm suspending belief while I'm saying it. I'm like, it's fine. No. This is what they say. Use the words. But because I have a lot of fire in me, in element in me,
it takes you into wanting to go into.
It always
these
makes
places.
you want to be into like, just like let's get a little bit weed. Oh, let's get a little bit alcohol. Let's get a little bit of mushrooms. I just want. I'm always chasing the next dopamine hit. Because while I'm talking to people, I'm at this level. And also, which brings us back to the ADHD. So now I'm here with very high dopamine. And you're like, hey, stare at an Excel sheet. Do the laundry.
Right.
I'm like, no, this is boring. I can't. Like, I can't even get myself to put myself in the right mood to do them.
Okay, that is something that goes with ADHD, right? Procrastination and
getting up all the time.
Oh yeah. Now here's something interesting. So my entire life I was in fight or flight. I just became accustomed to it. I had it early on, and then I just kind of attracted that dynamic because that made me feel safe, which is so crazy, right? To actually feel like you're on the edge of and somehow you're like, oh, this is good. This feels good to me.
Yeah, it's just a cliff, and I'm almost falling. It's fine.
Totally.
Fine.
It's okay that everything is like, and you're just like, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. But having that, fuck, where was I going with this?
Again.
Okay, this is
okay.
hilarious.
So I'm.
Hold on, I had a point. Where was I going?
I have no idea.
You gotta listen.
I have no idea what we were talking about from the beginning. I was listening, but I can't connect it to the context of what we were talking about.
I'm gonna bring us back. I'm a little hungover. So like when I'm hungover, my head is like not dopamine.
It's not.
So it's dopamine. It's finding. I've actually found, because I also love the dopamine rush, but I found the internal dopamine. So I am literally can go, oh, that's what that is. Like I recognize it, and which in comedy is funny because even though I'm a spaz on stage, I was like, oh, you're a spaz or whatever, and my internal dopamine is just like by moving. I find now mundane tasks, I make them interesting.
And once, like now that I'm assuming you meditate, you like do.
I do.
Okay.
I meditate.
It doesn't have to be every day, but at least you have.
I know how to do. Well, actually, it's funny. I'll sit on the toilet sometimes and just like.
Okay, great. You're at a more advanced level, a level that I'm trying to get at, where you are meditating almost everywhere you go.
Kind of. I can sit down and go, okay, cover myself in light. I do that just as a protection. And
You taught me that.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, if you do it for a week,
So you taught me that, and like I don't know if you saw the show that I did, the Valley Girls show,
I was there.
right? Okay, but were you there when?
I don't know. I might have been distracted.
Okay, right, great. So you told me about this. Was the first time I heard of it. The cover yourself in light, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm kind of feeling a bit stressed before the show, just because there was somebody came and complained about some stuff and gave me a lot of negative energy. So I felt like it's not gonna go well. And I went to my car
At the show?
before the show, before my set.
Okay.
And I sat went to my car
Yeah.
and did what you just told
Oh,
me.
you did?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I did my set, and then I came back, and then the Jewish lady, I forgot her name, Lisa, I think. She came over and she was giving me, great set, blah, blah, blah. It really felt like there was light coming out of you.
She said that.
I swear to God. And I was like, that's what I asked for. Like, how did that happen?
I'm telling you, I as someone who also has walked through darkness in the last 10 years, I had a breakdown, and I call it a breakthrough because it was, but it was a very dark time in my life, and it lasted way longer than I wanted it to. And someone who likes control, right?
Because you wanted it to last shorter.
Yeah,
That's
I was
how it
like,
works,
okay, well, it's going to get better, right? Like, I'm going to feel better. Like, this is going to shift. And it didn't in the time frame that I wanted, because life has its own time frame.
Yeah.
Right? You can't rush certain things, and you definitely can't rush healing. And I laugh because I don't do ayahuasca, and I don't do any drugs like that, and I haven't done them for 30 years. And when I did do acid, I was like, any drug I did that was a hallucinogenic was the worst. I'm the worst drug user.
Because the control. Because of the control, you can't let go.
I can't let it go.
Yeah.
I can't let it go, and I need the control. Feeling out of control is the scariest thing for me on all levels.
But what is the worst? Like, what is the worst nightmare of losing control? That you're gonna lose your freedom? You're gonna lose your
my
dignity?
mind.
Well, of course, the mind is like, that's the biggest thing.
That was my big thing is, what if I go too far and I don't come back?
Yeah.
And that's just been one of my fears. It's funny because I'm tested with it all the time. So I laugh because I'm literally like, oh my God, I'm tested again. Like it's
again, it's like these little things that you learn that makes it easier for you to cope, or like to not resist what's happening.
Yeah.
Is that it's this lesson again. That means that I still have not learned how to deal with it.
Totally. And mine are internal.
Oh yeah, they're all internal.
Well, a lot of people have external struggles, like right? Some people can't make enough money to live. Everyone has such a different strife. Ours, like, I'm good. I'm not on the street. My life is good. My struggles are internal.
I hate that this one might sound too California or too woo, California woo, but like my opinion is that even external struggles are internal struggles. Like even money stuff, even like it's all about accepting.
You're not wrong. You're not. I don't think you're wrong. I think it is absolutely connected.
Not to trivialize things like, you're poor. It's because you're not manifesting wealth. You're not thinking in abundance. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But I'm saying like...
No, because it starts within, right?
Yes.
It's the one who goes, I hate this job. I'm never going to amount. It's just the negative thought pattern that you create in your mind. It is the whole idea of manifesting is so funny as well, because I love the concept of manifesting. I'm a master manifester on accident. And that's what I say, because I don't literally think like, okay, anything I've actually really wanted, like I wanted this house. I printed out pictures. I was thinking on it for years. Okay. I wanted this one house. I wanted it so badly. I drove by it every day. I was literally 4 years like, that's my house. That's my house. I never got the house. Right. I never got the house.
Interesting. Right. How did that make you feel? Like all of this that you've spent time...
I didn't even know I was manifesting it by doing that. I was just doing that.
You said you didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, I really wanted that house. And I didn't understand what manifestation was at the time.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, I was really trying to put all this energy. That's what I'm saying. I'm a master manifester. And I'll tell you why. I had no concept of me like focusing. I had pictures all over the house. I'd look at the house. I'm like, that's my house. That's my house. You know, what happened is I ended up getting another house that wasn't that house. That wasn't my dream home, but it was a house that I still live in today that has been a very fruitful house for me and a very scary house for me because the lots of stuff happened. I've raised both my kids in this house. When you are manifesting, I think there is something to say about don't be like some people will say, I was really clear with my manifestation. Like I asked for a guy that was 6 foot this and that. I got what I needed. I didn't necessarily get what I wanted. And I think that's how my life works. I will get what I need, not necessarily what I want.
And I think it's this belief is that because somebody else would have not gotten the house and gotten the house that they've gotten, that was not the house that they needed. It's just the house that they wanted.
That house could have fallen apart.
Exactly.
That house could have had rats. That house could have been haunted. Like I don't know what I'm saying.
But that way of thinking is what takes a long time to develop, is to get to a way of thinking of appreciating what you have and not being so caught up about what you don't have.
Yes.
And I think within getting caught up with what you don't have is where you manifest negative energy or
Absolutely.
And it's like almost dangerous to give humans in this experience that we're going through right now, give us superpowers that we don't know that we have and let us without instructions just wander through the world and
but what if that's the journey? What if that's your journey?
There should be a warning. Like, should be, hey,
listen,
mixing feelings and thoughts might cause catastrophes. So don't do that.
But what are the worst catastrophes?
So many things, like the cars getting totaled, you getting evicted, like life changing, and it's not like you don't get the warning. When COVID was the first thing, ignored it. First car got totaled, ignored it. Second car within 9 months also got totaled, ignored it until Suwan was working with her. And I was like singing the song of, I want to kill myself. When am I going to die? Can't wait for the day I die. Saying it cheerfully and jokingly so people would laugh at my misery. And she was like, you got to stop thinking this way. And resistance. I was like, why? And I started making fun of it.
It's just a joke.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. No. And even when I got over, I'm just joking. And she was, you got to think the way you're thinking. And I started taking her seriously with the conversation. I started making fun of what she was trying to tell me.
Of course.
I started making fun of
the first thing you do is reject it.
Your thoughts. My thoughts made somebody hit me while I had no money, and I come running, working Uber Eats to pay the installments for the car.
Right.
To pay the $500 that I don't have, and then the car gets totaled and gone. So I did that to myself. Are you serious? You want me to take responsibility for that? That's crazy. But it's...
See, and I don't look at it necessarily like you did it to yourself. I look at it like you are getting alerts. The warning sign is on and you're not paying attention. So what happens is I listen to this funny little tarot reader guy and he goes, we never learn from a slap on the wrist. We always have to be dragged through the mud. And I think that is true with humans. We will get signs consistently. Hey, maybe you should go a different direction. Maybe you should change this. Maybe, and they're there. They're leading us. So when you hit that rock bottom, you have something to fall back on and go, oh my God, that and that and that and that all led me to here. Right? You need a point of reference. You need to be able to go back, and so you now can recognize as you move forward what they look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And in my case, I think it was the isolation that made me make a decision about how I view life and not be worried about what society thinks my decision is.
And that's very important.
Yes.
Stop looking for external validation.
But it's not just that. When you even say, hey, this person wronged me and I'm going to forgive them. What do people say about you? You're weak. You let people take advantage of you. And it's like ego. Stay here. Stay in this character. Stay in this reality.
Right.
And Like I made the realization of from watching all the NDEs that you see people even in Gaza and Palestine killing each other, and then people would just wake up like as soon as they die, and then they go into spirits and they start laughing at what just happened. At like, oh my God, how we were so in character that we hated each other to kill each other. And then I've had one of the Uber passengers that I picked. It was one of those weird things where I picked picked a ride by accident in the middle of the Hollywood Hills to go pick her up, and I was still new to like not cursing and screaming the entire time and thinking, oh, this might be something. This might lead to something. And I picked up this lady. As soon as she got inside the car, she started talking about NDEs and woo stuff, and she said, oh, I had like an outer body experience or a near-death experience, something like that, where she saw her other lives, flashed back and saw herself at a certain point get shot by someone and die, and then turn into the person that shot her and see how it feels to shoot her. And like it's all so it, like almost the entire point of this is you're gonna forgive them either now or later. So just forgive them now, because you're going to either ways forgive them later.
Forgiveness is an interesting dynamic, because it's funny that you're bringing this up right now. Of course you are, because that's how the universe works. I've been dealing with some issues. My father died a year ago, and I've been dealing with a woman who took property, and I've just been dealing with the will and what it looks like, and what my
siblings.
No, okay. I do, but not from this father. So my father, I was his only daughter, and then I have two sisters that have a different dad. But I'm dealing with people who are not looking out for me, right? So when I tell the story, everyone's like, oh my God, everyone's running you into the ground. You've got to fight. You've got to and it is an interesting dynamic, because I am a heavy duty overthinker, and I also will take a tremendous amount of accountability, even to the point of where it's not mine. So I have to find that balance, because sometimes I'll be like, I completely fucked up here. I've got to clean this up. And
the overthinking, of course, comes with tremendous guilt.
Well, I don't. I'm a messy perfectionist.
Yeah.
So like, if you come to my house, it's not everything's put in exactly the right place, but it's clean, and it's where it's very clean, but it's sanitary and everything. But it's like, even on stage, I look like I'm ranting 90% of the time.
I make faces when you talk about your set, and you're like, and you're amazing. Like, you go on stage, and I've seen, again, your show, the Valley Girl show, is a bar show.
Yes.
It's very hard to get people's attention.
Yes.
Let alone laugh.
Yes.
I was at a bar show yesterday, and I was like, I'm hack. What is the point of this? Nobody's listening. And you go on stage with all of the stuff that people told you to suppress.
Yes.
All of that works perfectly for that environment,
yes.
and just aligns with you. And you grab people's attention, and people are laughing. And between people's sets, like and I told you this the last time, and I'm not just saying this to have it on tape, but like, it almost felt like, oh, we're watching Jess interrupted by a bunch of comics. Yeah. Like, oh, he just came and they did their 5 minutes and then back to Jess.
Well, because it is my show in life. But what I've realized now is, and I still battle it, but it is my show, and it is your show. And the more work I do, and the more I pay attention, and I'm going to go back to that feeling of like people going, you're getting ran in. I have had to sit with myself, because the choices I've had to make are very linear, like this way or this way. There's the gray, which I live in Technicolor, right? So I live in the middle. Like, the black and the white aren't really my gamut. I'm like, no, there is no truth in one way or the other. It's in the middle.
And we live in a black and white world.
We do, but it is breaking open. So I know that what you're saying, and I do something now where I'm like, who am I getting advice from? who's saying these things? Do I respect how they live? Do they live the way I live? Are they conscious? Are they aware? Are they accountable?
It's a religion.
It is real. It is a religion. And it's a joke because when people talk about spirituality, the view of what people think it is. Well, also, it's a bunch of crystals. It's a bunch of fruits and nuts. Everyone's running around in yoga pants, meditating. It is such a hardcore job. I would like to see every religion step into this job.
I hate to be the Muslim poster boy, but a lot of the stuff that is in woo-woo
Yes.
is in Islam.
So it's in the Quran. The
Like
Quran.
even down to chanting Om.
Yes, which also Buddhists do.
But like when we like I heard this thing about chanting that you're supposed to do it like a foghorn. Like what is it? Is that a foghorn?
Yeah.
So that's the best really ways to get the vagus nerve.
To keep all
Yes.
of your everything, open up all your chakras.
So every time we pray, especially there is a very hard emphasis on praying as a group. Let's pray as a group.
So you get the energy
of
flow
all
of
consciousness.
yes.
Just think about it. Like
Yeah.
think about all people focusing on the same thing in a group. I think that's how they build the pyramids. Like that they wish, hey, let's all just get 200 people and just focus on moving that stone. And if we all
Right.
believe that it can be done,
Yes,
it's gonna
it
be
will
done.
move.
It's gonna move. Anyways, so we read the first verse of every single prayer. We read this verse, and then the imam, the person who's leading the prayer, he reads all everything, and then he comes to a bit. He says غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين, and everybody says Amin. And it's like it's in a group when there's 200 people in a room. It just immediately puts you all of this
In a
vibration
trance.
puts you in a trance.
Yeah. As well as Buddhism, right? So they sit in front of the altar and they do Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And my mom was Buddhist for a little bit. So we were all Buddhist for a little bit.
I'm like an open buffetist. Like I'll take some from Judaism, I'll take some from Christianity, I'll
Don't
take
you
some
think
from
I'm the same? So I think you just have to get well versed in other cultures
Yeah.
and the way they follow.
and recognize what
Works for you.
what every tool in that thing, like what every tool in religion is supposed to do, so that you can use it for its purpose.
Absolutely.
Like, so this the Amin stuff, this is to get you in a trance to start meditating.
Understand but that's with everything.
Yeah.
You need to understand what we were even talking about ADHD. You got to know what you're doing. You've got to understand, like, if you have ADHD, you have to understand everything about it. So then the more knowledge you have, the less control it has over you, right? And the more power you have to actually have faith in anything, your abilities, your strength, how you get to choose your direction. And I believe that with religion. It's so funny that you said I like everything too. I also look at it as a buffet. I've traveled the world and I've experienced many of religions, which makes you less judgmental.
Yes, that's why you were able to develop this point of view, because it's the same thing of I'm gonna demonize people who live just across the border,
Right.
Because I've never been to the airport.
Right.
So of course I think that I know everything, because it's weird. It's almost part of this experience that you think that your reality is everyone's reality.
Well, I will keep saying this, and my friends get pissed off when I talk about consciousness and unconsciousness, because when I first started to get conscious, I was screaming it from the rooftops, and I literally, I was like, oh my God, you need to get conscious.
I know,
right?
But I try to hold myself.
Because, but at first it was very judgmental and kind of egoic, right? There was a part of me that was like,
I'm better than you.
Better
No, I know.
It was so crazy.
My ego does not exist. That I'm so much better than you.
It's
Really?
like what? But you don't know. It's just part of the journey. It's part of the
it is.
growth,
It
right?
is. It is.
And you don't know it till you then get kicked down again, and you go, oh shit, really what it's about is your part on this planet is to live your truth, not sell it like a door-to-door salesperson of, you got to get conscious. Look, it's good. Look, I'm going to give you the discount ticket.
The ears of wisdom are sealed
The ears of wisdom are sealed.
The ears. I forgot, but it was from the Kabbalion. It's like a book that I found from 1913 something. But it was
For Kabbalah?
Is the Kabbalion.
What is that?
So that is the collected wisdom of ancient Egypt and ancient Greece that was done by Hermes.
Oh.
Hermes, who was contemporary to Abraham. Which in my case, it's like
Hermes
almost
the god.
Yeah, Hermes.
Okay.
Hermes, who might be also Thoth, whatever you guys call him, who also
Thoth,
might
yeah.
be. Yeah, he might be the same person.
Yes,
We're not
because
sure.
in New Orleans at Mardi Gras they have the Thoth floats.
It's the green tablets, all of these things.
They have all. It's very funny with the wings, the little wings, and yeah.
It's again like I think part of the journey is that when you start saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna judge people," is that you start being open, and it just opens up venues to you to start exploring.
Weird. I naturally did that as a person. Earlier, I was a little judgier. I would always forgive. I'd always try to forgive, but I did it in the guise of be the bigger person. I think be the bigger person is bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be better. You're better than them.
Be better.
Yeah.
Be the bigger person is actually just ridiculous, and it puts a pressure on you that is unrealistic, and you're kind of selling yourself short. But be better is a very personal experience where you're like, okay, how do I maneuver situations where I'm not hurting anyone and I'm not hurting myself, and that's okay. It's okay. And there's so many things I've learned on this journey because mine started almost 10 years ago. And
wow, yeah, you're way down the road for me.
I thought, by the way, when I came out of the dark night of the soul, I was like, holy shit, I'm
done.
free. I'm free, right? Like, thank God.
It's over.
My life, and I will tell you, amazing things happened because I stopped fearing death. I felt invincible because when you do go through that dark period, mine personally was so dark and scary, and I didn't think I was going to come back mentally, that I was like, and I didn't have any guides. I didn't have a yogi, or I wasn't actually, I've done so much research, but at the time I wouldn't even know what to research. I was like, I'm losing my mind and I don't know what's happening.
So how did you find your way? Like, what was the beginning for you? To find my way back to myself, the new me, because it's a new me. Like you said, I didn't find sources, I can't find any guides, but how did you find the first step?
I was in a writing class. Mind you, I had severe anxiety, heavy duty depression. My mind, if I could tell you, I walked through what people would say hell looks like. So I walked through the idea of what hell looks like, which is such a trip because I saw angels, I saw devils, I saw I had such, my mind was, I had to deal with a lot of darkness from my childhood. Everything that I was scared of, from snakes to Dracula to under the bed to all these, I had to replay all of these fears, which was so weird because that's PTSD. Yeah. But if you were to say, I had PTSD and I remember my therapist, when I finally got into this therapist, and I go, I have bipolar, I have PTSD, I have anxiety, I have depression. I listed like the whole thing. I was like, I've got that, I've got that, I've got that, I've got that. Like,
they love it when you come and diagnose yourself.
And she goes, okay, you don't have any of these things. I was like, but she just said, you have PTSD. And I was like, that was the one thing I didn't mark. And I said, I wasn't in war. I wasn't in Afghanistan. I was like, I didn't go, I'm not in the military. Why would I have PTSD? But that is a misconception that is being broken, thank God, finally, where PTSD is being traumatized. Well, I guess they call it CPSD, right?
That was going to be my...
Yeah, complex PTSD, which is interesting because your childhood trauma has taken over, and you've been living in it for so long. And there's a book out there called The Body Keeps Score.
I have it right there.
Oh, you do. Have you read it?
Of course not.
Okay, that's good, but at least you have it. Okay.
That's my
First
wishes.
step.
I bring the books, I put them there, and be like,
I do that with my books too, and then I'll just buy them and listen to them, because I think that's at this point I'm like, okay.
The new thing right now is that you find the YouTube of somebody who watched it, and they just tell you.
Yeah.
You're like, I got it.
I thank you for your thoughts on that book. You got the Cliff Notes. You just got
You
the
like
Cliff
and
Notes.
subscribe. That's really all you do.
Yes.
Like, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate it, yeah.
But you do that. I had no idea that this would come up, right? Like, if somebody were to say to me, when you hit 40s, you're going to have a child with an autoimmune disorder that no one is going to believe, and you're going to be going down this crazy ass rabbit hole with the best doctors, and still no one's going to diagnose him properly. No one's going to believe he has it. Everyone's going to think you have Munchausen's by proxy. And in turn, you're going to have your nervous system is going to go on haywire because you're scared you're going to lose your son. Right.
That was when I looked back, when I now can look with like an expert eye, I can see, there was a part where I put my nervous system on high alert.
Yeah.
And it was the COVID and also the fires. So I'm not safe from people. I'm not safe from the environment.
Yeah.
I can get deported any minute right now because I don't know what's happening with my immigration. I can't find a job. Nervous system is on high alert. That is like, let's start making up threats. Like, what else can happen right now?
Well, when it happens, when you're, what is it, the parasympathetic nervous system goes on high alert, I think what people don't understand is once it starts going, if you don't manage it, it just builds and builds and builds, and the thoughts build and the body builds. And I actually went and did a thing called trauma release, which opened my entire nervous system up. And that's what sent me into my breakthrough. I did it, and if I were to tell you, I laid on the floor, then I shook, and everyone got up and went, oh my God, I had an orgasm. And I got up, and the whole room was in Technicolor. My entire body was shaking internally from the tip of my toes to the top of my head.
What is that?
Trauma release. It's called TRT.
California stuff.
No, the gentleman who did it does it for Vietnam vets. Now, I had no idea at this point. I had PTSD, PSD. I had no idea. All I knew is I had a little anxiety that was creeping in and out at this point. That's it. I got my son up and running, and I was hopeful.
Wait, so now you woke up in Technicolor, and then you're like...
I wake up. I mean, I'm awake. I'm just doing like I don't know how long, 20. I am buzzing like an electrical system, like somebody put my finger in a socket and I can't get it out, okay? Everything is glowing. My nervous system is open. I didn't know this. I didn't even know about parasympathetic nervous. I didn't even know I knew nothing about my own shit. To now go home, I'm vomiting black, I'm shitting black. I am like, what is happening?
There was no ayahuasca in this session?
So guess what? When you open your nervous system like that and it opens the brain, guess what that triggers? The same exact experience as ayahuasca or DMT.
You know the famous story of Ram Dass, right?
No.
So Ram Dass was like, I think he was almost going to be a stand-up comic. But then something bad happened to him and he like lost his life. Like his life, he came to the dark night of the soul. And he went to India to kind of like go to sanctuary or something. And he met this guy, Babaji, whatever his name, I forgot. But like
I love it, Babaji.
They talk about him.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
everybody's Swamiji.
It all has meanings, I don't know. But anyways, he had with him LSD. Like he had really strong stuff. And the guy from the beginning almost can read his mind and can see what he's coming from. And he was like, "Hey, give me that." And he gave him LSD. And like what he would take to trip balls, he took maybe 10 times the dose of that. And he just sat in it. Like it didn't seem like it was phasing him. And he was trying to tell him like, oh, see all of these drugs, this is where I live.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I am all the time.
Yeah.
This is nothing. You just gave somebody with, like somebody on Adderall, you just give them a cup of coffee. They're like,
Right.
yeah, this is nothing.
This is nothing. This is my life.
This is how I
So
live.
that's what happened. So imagine being on ayahuasca for 2 years.
For 2 years?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
So when people are like, oh my God, you need to microdose and you do ayahuasca, I'm like, I'm good. I already know what that experience is and I'm good. Now, when I came out of those years, and I did end up getting a therapist.
Like I would be if I was in your shoes now, and I've had this power for 2 years.
It's not a power. It was a dark night of the soul.
No. But like now you. Oh, so I thought you were saying that you saw a Technicolor for the next 2 years.
I did.
Okay.
But that was part of my dark night. Now imagine you're not on drugs. You haven't taken drugs, yet you're walking around like you're on drugs.
Oh, I see.
How scared are you now?
Yeah.
How scared are you to be having a drug trip that you didn't? I was like, am I having a flashback from 35 years ago?
I was like when I was during COVID.
Yeah.
Again, nervous system was on high alert.
Yeah.
And I put myself in this weird spot, and I recorded one of the episodes here for the podcast.
Good.
And I looked like I was high. And I was
Yeah.
sober.
Yeah.
But it was because of
Everything going
whatever,
on
yeah.
internally.
I looked as if I was in drugs, and I was like, I'm sober. I've never been soberer in my life.
People who do ayahuasca, first of all, I think there is a great purpose for it on many levels. But I think
It was a thing that you go to.
and I agree with that. And microdose, I think there's a place. You kind of have to know who you are. I know a lot of people who do ayahuasca and DMT and go out to the desert and they're looking for these things. And I don't feel that I need that. So I'm more like, guess what? I don't need to search. I already found it. The universe came in and delivered it. It's what I now have to do with it. Like now you get this gift because it's a gift. You get the gift, and the gift is you don't ever stop healing. So that's fine. Now you get with the program and go, oh, I don't ever stop healing. I did, when I came out of it, had the most euphoric experience for another almost 2 years.
Wait, so let's get to this. How did you? First of all, how did it last for 2 years? You just you felt like you were high, but you were still feeling.
I was depressed. I was miserable, and I was also hot. Like I was having this psychedelic experience, and now I'm going through all my dark past, and I'm working through these traumas that were in my body, right? They were stored in my cells. And at that point, I didn't understand about ancestral trauma. I didn't understand that.
You can explain a little.
That came later.
What is that?
So ancestral trauma is trauma that is also embedded in your cells.
Is that epigenetics? Is that similar?
I don't know.
They found scientifically that while the mom is in like having the child is in her belly, any fears that she goes through, if she feels anxiety, if she feels hungry, then the kid knows I'm gonna come to an environment where there will be scarcity of food. As little as that. If she went through an abuse or she felt something, it goes through the kid's gene,
Right.
in preparation to the environment that I'm about to go to.
Interesting.
So it's almost, they're saying that's passed on because what genes she got from her parents.
So I actually will take it to the next level and say it's ancestral bloodlines. So I believe that your bloodline carries memory. Now, this is so far out there, and one day they'll prove it or they won't, and I don't even care what people think or not. Are you not? You're not touched. Okay. I got through that dark spot, and I got a great therapist who then told me I wasn't insane, and said, this is what it is. It's CPSD, and let's try to work through it and figure it out. And what was happening is I kept creating around me. I was very alone. I'm a hyper independent person, which is also from trauma. Had no idea what the hell that was.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
Hyper independent.
Hyper independent is, and by the way, you can be super codependent and be hyper independent. It is where you are constantly proving yourself, and you won't let anyone help you. You won't ask for help. You don't know how to ask for help. You don't think people are going to help you, because anytime you ever did, you were let down. So now you realize all you can do is rely on yourself. So now you're running around carrying up refrigerators up 20 flights of stairs because no one can get the job done like you. And so that's what I did. So I became a hyper independent person. So I was, and also here trying to battle to save my son's life. And then I had a baby girl.
And you're doing stand up next to all of this.
I was not. I didn't
Oh, okay.
start stand up till after all of it.
Okay.
So I started stand up after my dark night of the soul, after coming out of it and having this amazing euphoric place where I lost 40 pounds. I went from brunette to blonde. I took the Ford in and got a Range Rover. I was like, fuck it. I am living my best life. And I didn't fear. I was so scared I was going to lose my son on so many levels, because what he had, it was such a crazy thing. It was unknown, and doctors, I was getting so many misdiagnoses that it was like, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
I want to know. It's a lot of these times. It's like, just let me know what to do. Like the uncertainties was the hard part.
But not only that, if you don't know, send me somewhere that might, like, stop just kind of guessing. Everything's a guessing game, and I know that that's medicine, but
it sucks. It sucks that it has to be this way, because it's like, it's not like, I have time and no critical, like, there's no severity, there's no stakes. It's always when the stakes are high, you don't want this.
Well, if the stakes are high for you as a doctor, I guarantee you're going to do the work. But the stakes, I feel like the way they were treating it, they're like, oh, your son's normal, and I'm like, he's not, and I know, because I'm his mom, and I know what his normal looks like, and this isn't normal. And I had the ability to get the best. I wasn't on fucking Kaiser. Like, I wasn't on Obamacare. I was getting the best,
which is more frustrating,
and still running into brick walls everywhere I went. So that was very hard, and no one believed it was so crazy. That was just crazy. Anyways, when I came out of it, I was flying high. And that's when I said, you're not going to say no to anything. I started running. I started walking every day. Even when I didn't feel like it, I put my shoes on and go. And I always felt better. Again, dopamines, endorphins, right? I was feeding that.
And you're in charge, which is the hardest, which is like, again, I just learned that. Like, it's not, like, in all of what I'm saying, the you're in charge part is, because it almost feels very hard when you say, you're here for a certain message, I'll just wait for the signs and I'll just open my mind, and you become like more, that's not the point. You're not supposed to come here and have no will and just like be. But
you also have to find your will. I think that also you have to be flexible, because your story may not end up being the story you think you set out.
But there's a middle lane. Like, again, the middle is always the greatest. There's a middle lane where it's a bunch of this and a bunch of this, and also not attached to either, which is a very hard thing to do.
Detaching, trusting. All of these things are one of the hardest tests. And I am tested continuously with trusting of the universe and the higher powers that be. I like to call it source.
Do you have somebody you trust in real life? Like, who's a person that this person never lets me down?
I think we're fallible as people, so I think that is an unrealistic expectation on anyone.
Of course, but like, to a large extent, your car got towed. It's 4 a.m. in the morning.
No,
there's nobody you can call. You are
I can call people.
Yeah, but there's one, right?
Oh no, I
don't want you to tell me their name.
I can call. I do have.
What I learned is that if you can think of the universe as that person and trust them the same way. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like,
that.
You find a person where you're like,
I love that.
And it's like, of course the universe is going to give me what I want because it's Steven. It's like Steven.
What's interesting is I don't think the universe gives you what you want. I think it gives you what you need.
Yes.
And I think that's
the
super
trust
important
of that,
is because when we want stuff all the time. And some of it's not good for us. And some of it is, and I just was listening to something yesterday, and I live my life by this, but I've kind of fallen off the track a little bit. And I loved hearing it. Again, my little tarot reader's so funny. My online tarot readers, I just love them.
How does that work? How is
Here's-
online? Aren't you supposed to pick? Like,
you can pick a card. Now they do Pisces or whatever. Here's what I'll say. I started listening to it for a total other purpose. I started listening to it because I had a crush and I was like, oh my God, it does this. And I don't even know how I fell into it, to be quite honest. I cannot remember how. I think it was on Instagram. There was like something came up and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I started going down this YouTube spiral and then I started following and in COVID, they were really, everybody was up, right? So they're posting every day and da, da, da. And when I first started listening to it, it's funny even how they've changed in the last like 4 years because I don't listen to it as much, but I do have a couple people that I really like. I wasn't being discerning. So online tarot readers can walk you down the road to hell. They can keep you stuck in a loop that you shouldn't be in. They can, like, I see how it works. I didn't understand that. And I would be like,
so this is, you go to a specific website or this is just on YouTube?
no,
at
you
this
look
point?
on YouTube
Okay,
and you're
great.
like, oh, I like her voice. And oh, I like what she says.
Oh, the
and,
algorithm
you know,
brought me this clip. I'm just going to click here.
and then it starts feeding another thing because
Yes,
it's all an
yes,
algorithm.
great.
So I started listening to it for just like, oh, I wonder if that person's thinking like that kind of thing, right?
Here's because I'm going through a similar where some of the tarot things came up and I clicked on one.
Yeah.
And like, it was so funny that I clicked on it and I was like, hey, what is this? And I clicked on a certain spot in the slider and it was
Right.
on my sign. Like I wasn't even looking for my sign. I was like, oh, what is this? And I clicked
You were
randomly.
looking somewhere else for your sign, which then brought it up in the algorithm.
No, I think because again, the Middle East now, the Arab world is woo. We've received the woo over there.
Oh,
and there's a lot of
okay.
woo. There's a woo revolution happening in the Middle East. So
Actually, that's good.
It is very good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of these clips now that it was very interesting for me to start hearing the same concepts, but in Arabic. Because it
Well,
was.
that's the thing with these readers.
Yes.
There's a lot of shitty readers. So let's just get into that. First of all, some of these readers have helped me deal with my childhood stuff better than my therapist. So I've used them with also psychologists. And I mean, I listen and therapists, like I've really covered the gamma and information, books and this and that, because I'm like, oh, that pertains. Okay, this. I've put them all kind of together. But I will tell you, the tarot thing has been funny because when I started, I had a lot of airy fear. And some of it rang true. Like I was like, oh my God. I started to get more discerning and utilizing it as with my intuition. One of the things that I had lost, and I think a lot of people lose, is trusting themselves, trusting yourself, trusting your decisions.
But they're conflicting messages. See, that's why it's hard for new people because you're like, oh, trust yourself, but also trust the universe. Don't follow what you want, but also be malleable with what comes. So it's like, oh, what do you want? Like another one of mine is, oh, should I listen to the signs or should I do my own? Like, should I be, nope, this is what I want to do. Fuck you and signs.
Okay, you
like,
ready?
what is?
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, go.
When you connect, and this is going to be woo-woo, you are one. So when you said, I was hearing voices and I was like having these moments, those voices, and I listen, I'm not a therapist, so I'm not going to claim. And
Whatever you
seem
say
to be
is
fine.
part of the acceptance. What you're about to say is
So-
part of the acceptance.
Yes. So, like, there's a part where now I will ask myself, what happened when I came out of this is I sat very much in my masculine energy before. So when you're in your masculine energy, that's problem solvers, that's you're going out fixing things, you're not connected. As a woman being in her masculine energy, it is very difficult, especially when you're sitting heavy in it. It's about balance, right? And a lot of men will be like, hey, masculine. Men need a balance of that too.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm
I'm going to give you the other equation of this when you're done.
I was in my masculine after going through the dark night.
And masculine is a defense mechanism too, by the way.
Well, masculine's a hunter-gatherer,
Yeah.
right? Masculine is a protector. You do want that. Women want that in a man. They want to feel safe.
But like men, it almost, when you're growing up, you're told by your peers that don't do too much masculine. So you need to be a little bit girly. And then if you're too girly, it's like, no, that's too much. So there is like, it almost demonizes what girly looks like, but also like...
Girl, yeah, you could go to, well, that's my point.
Yeah.
So sitting too much in your feminine energy, I went more in my feminine energy, and I actually had a nice balance for a while in it because I was still like, that's when I started comedy. So I was like, fuck this. You know, I mean, I'm sure you have to bleep that.
Which is
but
great.
like,
No, we don't have to
But
bleep.
I was like, I just really went out.
Which is great for comedy.
Which is great for actually, it was like a lot.
In the
But I had
beginning,
a lot I needed to
and
get
in
out.
that phase too,
Yes.
in that time.
I had a lot I had to get out, and I had to find my voice, and I had to find how comfortable I was. And like, I wanted to say, fuck you. I was mad. I was pissed. And I wanted to be like, let woman hear me roar. But what was funny is I started to, I was really in a nice balance. And then I started to file very heavily into my feminine energy. And I also love that too, because that's the sensual part of us. That's the nurturer. That's the woman who like, oh, you can protect me. And it doesn't mean you have to be macho to protect someone. It can be, you have to know you have the beast within, but you manage your beast. You handle your beast.
And it's the same. Like when oh yes, you're a masculine, old women are strong, independent women. But if I as a man have a need to be protected, like it's in all of us, and it's the
yes.
but it's
innate,
where you're told as a man you're not supposed to admit that you have a feminine side, like almost. And of course, coming from my culture, it's like if you wear a pink shirt, you're gay. Like it's done.
But there is a part that you need to address the sensitivity. Now, if a man steps too much in his feminine energy, then he's weepy. He's a victim. I hate to say it, but it kind of goes with it. You start to fall. You don't have the power. You don't have the will to move. You're like too much feminine. You fall into this place of like, oh, woe is me. That's where we talk about that lost. So it's really about finding the balance where a woman also, I emasculated my ex-husband. I was so busy being, I'm going to show you how I can do it all, that in turn, it was like, he was the provider financially, but I didn't allow him to provide, or even, I don't know if he was capable of doing it or not, but I don't actually think he was capable, to be quite honest.
It doesn't matter. It was the way you were receiving it. It almost felt like I need to show you how strong I am, that I'm not just receiving this out of weakness.
But what happened is it made me not sexually attracted to him.
Yeah, of course.
Because I now am sitting in my masculine energy rather than sitting in my feminine energy of being like, oh, he's going to nurture me a little bit. So now I can feel like I can relax and trust that he has me safe. So financially, I was safe, but emotionally, I was not safe. And a woman, believe it or not, needs to feel emotionally safe, even over financially safe.
If we take out the word financial and just replace that with anxiety, because it's what is money? It's anxiety about safety. In a way, it's like,
and it's a false safety, because at any given moment, all your money can disappear, and then what?
And for a creature that is not gonna beat up the stronger male by working out, what is your way of safety? It's, I'm gonna buy someone to kick your ass.
Yes.
So money is your muscles in a way. Yes. So marrying somebody with money is, I have unlimited power. It's understandable. But again, that's from a psychological view.
He didn't have that much money when I married him.
Yes, but again, you married him for the promise of that much money. At least, no? That was for love?
Yeah, no. I didn't marry him for money. We both came in. I mean, he had a real job. That was nice. But no. My attraction to people is very interesting. I now understand it quite well. My attractions are all lessons. And my marriage was a karmic relationship. So we trauma bonded. We have very similar traumas, childhood traumas. And I mean, I could say love and all of this and all of that rings true, but the truth is I mean, I don't know what he's gonna get out of it or not. Besides I got two great kids, so I was supposed to get these kids, and they were supposed to come from him, and that's how I see it. That he did his job. He brought in the kids, but also it allowed me to have a breakdown, to experience all these things, to grow, to learn, to get more conscious, to learn more about myself, to make a difference on this planet where I might not have if we would have. I mean, I think I would have gotten there a different way. I always believe, that's a choice I made. That was my path. But it's funny because being someone who's getting divorced, I hear a lot of women will be like, I should have left sooner. I'm 52 years old, right? I gave him my best years. And I'm like, no, it's going exactly the way it's supposed to go. And even though we have had times where I'm like, what is happening? Why am I like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like this cannot be real. What's going down? This feels abusive, and I'm being tortured. I can look back pretty quickly now and go, oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why.
When I went to Portland, so this is 2 years after the pandemic. I'm still not learning. Second car got totaled. I'm driving with a beat up, totaled first car in the middle of the snow to make Uber Eats in 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I go to grab coffee and come to a ticket. Or I go deliver an order in the middle of the mountain and the axe breaks. Or I go to a side street and puncture one of the wheels.
Oh shit!
But in hindsight, or actually the entire trip to Portland, I went with the dog and left my dog. The dog that was felt like my son. Like when I got that dog here, I felt like, oh my god, I have a son now, and I felt like all of the fatherly emotions that I've suppressed. But it was, again, it sounds crazy, but with this new perspective, I can now look back and be like, no, this was meant to be. This dog is at a better house, is with a better family. Yeah. I wouldn't have loved him the same way Caroline loves him right now.
Okay, fine.
So, but again, it was in the moment, victim, me, my dog, my house, everything is taken away from me. But the car would break right in front of the puncture, the tire would puncture right in front of the guy who's gonna fix it. And the guy who came to pick my car up from when the axe broke took me to a mechanic that fixed something in the car for cheap that I would have paid so much money there.
Right.
One of these things, one of these little things here, there was this story, and I think it's like a Jewish story that we have in Islam, about, I want to say Moses, and he met this guy who was like a super angel that God sent, whatever. But that guy was taking him around on his missions, taking Moses with him to show him how things are done. And he would go into situations and do the worst thing, like to fuck things up.
Right.
And Moses would be like, what the fuck are you doing? These kids, they just fed us. Like, what are you just broke their ship. And he said, like, I told you you would not be able to be patient with my ways. You wouldn't be patient with me and what I'm doing. And Moses would be like, oh, okay, sorry, I got it. And then like that happened a couple of times. And at the end, you'd find out, oh, he actually sabotaged the ship because the pirates were going to come. And if the ship was intact, they would have stolen it. But when they found that there is a flaw in it, they didn't take it. Oh, you know that wall he cut down? Yeah, no, the people who owned the land had sunken treasure there. And that wall, after it fell, now they can find it. And it's like little things that, I went to Portland to, yes, take this dog here. And look at all the positive and good energy and even money that came through my misery to other people, that it looked like, oh, God sent me with my misery there so that I can be a messenger of goodwill to them, even if it was with my money. And once you start framing it this way, and of course, that's what I was to bring us back into, well, people will say you're weak and you're delusional. But if you believe what people are saying, you're gonna get the feelings that comes with this belief. Or you can believe what I'm doing, which is, it's all for a reason. And if it's not your reason, it's God sending you to be someone else's reason.
Yeah.
So with that, once I go down here and to go grab something dumb from like down the street, and the car breaks down, and I find myself in the fuck. What? Why, God? When am I gonna die?
Yeah.
It's now 30 seconds, as opposed to 4 days.
Right. So your turnaround time is quicker.
Yeah.
My turnaround time is quicker, and that is a gift. And there's going to be tons of people. Like, I see signs all the time, and when I'm open, I mean, I've had some incredible spiritual experiences that I could not explain. I was sitting in my backyard, suffering one day, and thinking about my divorce. I had a second part of my awakening. Okay. So here I was like out of it, flying, started comedy, living my life, doing my thing. Doors were just opening. They were just opening. Okay. I've never been like anything I wanted actually was showing up. And I was just light about everything. I realized my son was going to be okay. I got a download saying, your son's life is his life. You no longer have to carry that burden. I'm doing great. I'm now just kind of moving. I'm trying to make my marriage work. It's not working. We're still trying, right? And then
how many years in the journey are we now?
Oh God. Well, it's funny. I was married for 20 some odd years, but I don't know. I'm probably 7 in it, right? Like, I think I'm like 7. I ended up meeting someone. So my life is moving. I'm in Vegas. I'm working. Life is great. I ended up meeting somebody who had the craziest fucking story on the planet. Okay. And full of red flags. And when I say full of red flags, I'm not kidding you. This was a ship that was going to sink with red flags. But there's something I do trust that I am guided in the weirdest directions. I've done some very strange things that people would probably consider unsavory in certain ways. But I have felt a nudge by the universe. Like, if I were to tell you, it feels like an energetic push to do these things. Everyone around me was like, get away. You are too naive. You're too this. But I established a friendship with this person, and I felt a complete soul tie with them. Like, it was incredible. I've never felt a tie with a human being. And I will say, I am attracted to people's souls. Not what they look like, not what they do. When we could talk about money, it never looks like that. I am attracted to a soul for a certain purpose that I'm usually not privy to until after the fact. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. I see why. So, I mean, thank God, because being privy to it then would just ruin the whole experience. Okay.
And you would resist it because it seems
Yes.
like, the attraction to the soul is part of, then you're supposed to meet this person because
Yes.
they're going to teach you a specific thing.
I don't think there's anyone I have a close encounter with, or that like, even if it's for 10 minutes, that doesn't serve some type of purpose or connection to me.
I started thinking that there are no coincidences. Like, I would say there's a lot of messages being sent through YouTube.
There's tons.
Yeah.
By the way, if you ask, you'll get it. Like, I literally was asking for my dad, for my grandma, for any ancestor that's looking out for me. If there's any, I don't even know. And I will say, I'll say God because it's easier rather than source. But I don't like using God because I think people misuse God.
But
I like it because it's easy and it's one syllable. It's so is source. But I'm just like, I'll literally go, I need guidance. I need help. Please give me a sign. And I always go like, I'm grateful so far that I'm still functioning. I still got it going on. You got me through some dark shit. But I'll be like, I need a sign for something. And I had something happen. I drive down this street. I'm picking up a dog cage for my new puppy. And I'm driving down this street that I have driven down probably 50 times. My girlfriend lives down this street. And I never had paid attention, but I was like, I need a sign. So I'm down by my house asking in my car. I do a lot of conversations with God in my car. A lot. Okay. A lot. I've screamed at him. I've screamed at my angels. I'm screaming at the universe. I am like opening the roof and I'm literally like, you're kidding me. And then I've also had really ones where I'm like, I need your help. I need your guidance. It's a lot happens in my car. A lot. Okay. So as I'm pulling down this street, I see a sign, the road sign. I've never looked at this sign, even noticed it if I did. And it's the name of a lawyer that I am working with. And I went, you're fucking kidding me. Like, I literally was like, and I almost rejected it. And I love signs, right? And sometimes I will get like tons. And I almost went, because I've been so in my head, not in my heart, functioning with logic, listening to outside sources, listening to people that I actually respect, but I'm like, but I got to move my way. My way always works for me. Even when it's hard and it's dark and it doesn't seem like it's working, the outcome always works for me when I'm in my heart. If I use my head, it's where my ego gets involved. I start doing weird shit.
I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to take a risk.
Yes.
Because it's not going to work.
But even my heart, like, when I come from, I don't like hurting people. That is not my MO. And it doesn't mean that, and I don't like hurting people that are bad. Like, there are people who actually try to hurt me. They're not looking out for my best interests. They're not caring how I feel. They're just greedy and looking out for themselves. And I'm like, oh, I have an option actually to hurt all of you. Do I want to pull the trigger? And I have to run that through. Will that behoove me? Will I feel better if I do this and I get all of this? Am I going to feel better with all of this stuff?
It's going to feel better, like, as an outcome of, and then everyone is going to agree that you did the right thing, and then you're going to feel better.
But the funny thing is and I've been so disconnected spiritually, in and out, not fully disconnected, but in and out, right? Whereas sometimes I'm in the zone, and you know when you're spiritually in the zone, because stuff just moves like this. It just goes, things open up, energy just flows.
You feel it, yeah, no, 100%.
And I knew, I was like, I keep running into like roadblocks in my mind, and I'm overthinking and I'm overfeeling, and I was just like, Jess, you gotta just step back into your heart. And what does your heart say? And I was like, and I now talk to myself, and I now know that it's my higher self responding, which is my connection.
Psychology would call that,
source.
you know how to self-parent.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is basically, it's now you becoming at peace with that voice of your head, and knowing that you have the control to hear what they're saying and be like, oh, that's nice. What else do you have? Yeah.
So now those voices, and I can get different voices, right? And I mean, sometimes I can get a voice that I laugh because I haven't had it in a long time, but it was really sassy, and I was like, I don't even like your attitude. Like, I literally was like, I don't like your response. I don't like your attitude. But I am, so when I think of religion even, and I love so many aspects of all kinds of religions, right? I also think that I don't need a conduit. Yeah. I am the conduit. I just need to dial into myself. And I kind of got the answer. Now the funny thing is, I settled in. And I went, okay, you now know what you're going to do. And whatever the outcome is, it's going to be fine. And no, you may not walk away with this or that. And they might have totally screwed you. But what are you going to walk away with? And I was like, inner peace. Because none of these things were mine to begin with. They were all something that I was getting. And I was like, so they're not theirs. But if someone wants to hang, and this is a very Hindi philosophy, and I came back from India when I was 18. My father had taken me there. And
On a
it's-
drug trip.
No, it wasn't. We actually
On one of the mob jobs.
No, it wasn't. It was there was other stuff. Yeah, but it wasn't. It was we had family up in
He was in the CIA. I don't know.
Totally. We had family living up in Kulu Manali, which is up in the Himalayas, and it was one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had experiencing India as an 18-year-old who grew up in Vegas. So
You've never seen like
anything like
anyone
it.
living like this.
No.
Yeah.
You get off the plane and there's like 300 beggars at 4 a.m. Children, lepers, everything. And then you drive down the streets and the medians, where we have the medians in the middle of the streets, are all covered with people sleeping. I've never seen anything quite like it. I've experienced third world countries since then, but that was
It's
one.
even for us, a lot of people from Egypt would say, "Oh yeah, I feel like Egypt," but I know it's at almost like an amplified level of what we have in Egypt. Yeah.
Oh,
it's there like what a billion people.
Now it's different because this was also, I was 18. Okay, I'm 52. And we've also put in a lot. I mean, I still know that it has all of these elements, but I also know that America gave them an industry. We started importing their furniture. We started importing their clothes.
But it's the same. It's
But
like,
it has-
doesn't get
yes.
fixed. Like it's the same idea of like thinking, "Oh, South LA should be better by now, right?" And you'd be like, "No, it's still
I will
shit."
tell you, South LA, the houses are $1 million now.
Yes, that's because if you own a cot, it owns $1 million. It's for $1 million now. But I'm again like working Uber. I would have a trip in Beverly Hills and then have another trip in South LA, and I'm like, they're not even bothering to pave the streets here. Like they gave
don't
up.
care.
They
Yeah,
pulled
they
out
gave
the
up.
cops, and they were like, "Okay, we retreated.
Yeah.
We can't. The problem
But
cannot be solved."
also, there's an aspect to this of take care of your stuff. Like I hear, and I don't want to go into politics.
Wait, as in the country or as in yourself?
I hear so many people going, it's because of this.
Yeah.
It's because of them. It's because of this. And I'm like, no, actually. I've even heard on both family values. We've lost our family values. We need more religion for family values. And I'm like, no, actually. And I'm not against religion. You do you, right? I'm not. It's just everybody needs to do them.
No, religion is against what they're doing. It's the opposite.
But you got to be accountable. You got to know what's
But that's
right.
what religion says.
But
the
that's not
heartbreaking
the
stuff.
But here's the thing: when you're using and interpreting, you can only interpret the level of your intelligence
Yes,
or consciousness.
exactly.
And I think that's where people have to register. Like, if you're only allowing yourself to go into the shallow end, and you're like, I can't go into the deep end. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to. That's where you're going to stop, in the shallow end. So that is the message that that I do think Source is trying to deliver by creating an open consciousness of going, stop fucking judging everybody. You're no better. You are not God. Not one of us is. And I only say that when I really feel strongly. People will say, you're the children of God. I guess that's Christian, right? Judgment. I mean, I don't know a lot about the Bible. Okay. I just know it's constantly thrown out in your face. But I'm like, listen, you're in no place to judge. No one is. Because there is not one person on this planet that hasn't fucked up some which way how.
It's in religion, but it's just not like it's the don't throw people with whoever was
with
without
the
sin will cast the first stone. Was in the very famous like Christian story of this lady that sinned, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna start throwing stones at her," and then somebody says, "Okay, so anybody who has not without sin can throw stones."
Well, and by the way, all these people are screaming all this stuff. I'm like, follow your suit.
It's again, I don't blame religion. I just blame time. Because I think...
Oh, interesting.
I think what happened is that religion was what we were talking about. Like woo-woo, the spirituality, in 2,000 years is gonna be like Christianity.
Well, that's the other thing. All these wars. Oh, this is my land. This is my this. It's like,
Material.
come on. Like, you guys, get with the program.
So, you know, why is Shakespeare's stuff very, like, valuable in terms of, like, there's a copy of Shakespeare's stuff in the Vatican. Like, why is that? Like, why in all
Tell
the
me,
woo
enlighten
stuff, they
me.
always mention Shakespeare next to Area 51, and
They do?
it's like it's one of the things. It's like, oh, with the pyramids, and like it's Shakespeare done something.
Shakespeare in the pyramids?
Yeah, you've never heard this
No.
before.
I'll look
It's
it up.
Shakespeare is talked about as if like it's one of those like amazing achievements of humanity. And I don't, and it's always about the literature, and the stories are not that impressive, to be honest. And
Well, they're humans.
They're human.
They're humanitarian stories, right?
Yes,
The love
yes.
story, the family that didn't want the
but I
being
have
rejected.
I'm more impressed by Christopher Nolan's stories than you know what I mean. Like, oh, look, he made The Prestige. It's a good movie. But I think
See it.
I think like from this journey, Shakespeare came up with this famous line about I'm gonna butcher it again, but it's we're all actors playing in a play,
Yes.
and we rehearse our
Exits and entrances.
Right.
we're actors. He did not say entrances on the stage and exits off the stage.
Right.
He said exit and entrance. So you coming into here, you've exited something and came to be
And
the
entered.
character.
Yes, and entered.
So it's like almost we look at it the other way, that you get in this character, the Jess character, everything about, oh, this land, this ego, it's all about Jess the character. Like to be in character, like a
and-
method character.
Well, and also the masks. The masks we wear. I mean, there is the theater, right? The two masks. We're
Yeah,
talking
yes,
about
yes,
it, the
yes.
two masks. The masks we wear. And we wear them to protect, right? Because we don't come in with the knowledge of where we came from.
It's almost like we forget it. It's almost like a method actor thing where you try to put yourself into the character
Yeah.
that you're playing, that you forget that you're
Where you come from.
what's the name of that guy who always does method?
left foot.
There's no
No country for old
no
men.
country for old men.
It's
No, there will be
quit.
blood.
He quit. I know. It's my left foot. What the hell is it? Oh my God, he quit too.
Yeah, but that guy, like imagine that guy
Yes.
just gets
Why
in
am I
character.
going blank? Oh my God.
Because he quit. We forgot his name.
Yeah.
He just exited.
I can see him. I can see his face.
DeLewis something. Daniel DeLewis.
Day-Lewis.
Yes, Daniel DeLewis.
Okay, there we go.
It's as
Sorry.
if it's as if he's gonna watch the
I know.
podcast and be
You
like, "How
never know.
dare you forget my
You never
amazing
know. You never
characters?"
know.
But Daniel DeLewis. Imagine if you are Daniel DeLewis and you forgot that you're Daniel DeLewis. That is what I mean. Is if you get immersed in the character so much
Yeah.
that you forget, and every time.
Well, I created the character for myself. So now I'm 100% the character.
But like, okay, so somebody pissed you off, somebody cuts you off, and then you go into like, how dare you? And that's when I catch myself. Oh, you're in character right now. You are playing what the character would have felt like if somebody cut it off, and it's to remind myself that no, you're Daniel DeLewis. This is just a character. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, so I'm not gonna. And because to bring it back to the given a superpower without knowing that you have one. Is that mixing? I didn't know this. That once you start doing the feelings and how dare you think, thoughts, and this is energy. Like this is you're creating. And
Yes.
scientifically speaking, what is these thoughts? These
that you're sending the messages to the
there's electric pulses going
Yes.
through there. So what is this? You're like there's. I heard that you're
Do you
magnetic.
listen to Joe Dispenza?
Of course he comes up. Like of course he
he's
comes up.
interesting. He's interesting.
But he's like I don't know why. There's something about
There's something about his voice.
No, Joe Dispenza. He was also part of my journey because one of his videos came at the right moment.
Okay.
And then I was like started listening to his videos and trusting him and like listening to him and like, oh, he's really saying good things. And then he had a hair transplant and he lost all credibility.
Hilarious.
Because I was like, oh, this doesn't matter. Like you said, this is your, and then you went and did something as
Okay, so
trivial
I'm
as.
going to tell you something because I think that's also a misconception, and I'm going to try to get it right. When you are a spiritual person and you've had an awakening and these things don't matter, that doesn't mean you let yourself fall apart. It does matter. Like I put in extensions in my hair. It's valuable to me. Doesn't make me less spiritual. Doesn't mean that if I don't have my extensions, I'm going to die tomorrow. But you can enjoy the gifts you get in life. Being spiritual doesn't mean suffering out in a cave somewhere. These are parts of your journey, which I guarantee Joe Dispenza has had those parts, as have you, as have I. You are, it doesn't, you just don't, they don't carry the same weight of everything. Whereas some person is like, if I don't have that big house, I have no value. If I'm not the producer of this movie, I'm a piece of shit. It's like, no, that was something that bothered him. He is human. And we are here being human. So it's not that you can't enjoy luxuries or enjoy these things. You just don't give them the value that you once or somebody else would.
That's a great, I was using that story to tell you how, because I'm listening to him more now. I also came around. My way of coming around was realizing that I'm judging him. What I'm doing by saying why is he going to say this if he's as vain as to get a hair transplant? But I felt I'm judging him, and that's not the way to approach it. And also, I can't say no to the entire wisdom of that guy just because of my dumb, naive.
And it's not dumb, naive. What it is
superficial.
You're learning how to trust your intuition and go, that works for me, that doesn't. The way I manifest may be different from the way you manifest. The way I move and my message and my journey is very different from your journey. We can have similarities and we can talk about it and we can go, oh, thank God. Wow, I recognize that. Thank God we're not alone. We're not the only people. But that being said, we are all on our own.
Yeah.
That's why some people are supposed to evolve and others are not in this lifetime. And to understand that allows a very open format of going, because at one point I was like, I can't be friends with half these people. I cannot be friends with them. They are not evolved enough. I literally was in that place to where I'm like, whoa. You're on your life path is learning and sharing your knowledge and allowing people to be exactly who they're supposed to be. And you don't get to judge them.
It doesn't. And also, so that's one of my lessons right now is that my mother lives with me here, and then every single time I'm like, if she can only just stay out of my hair for a while and just not approach me today, that's when she's here. That's when she's like, Samer, come here, Samer, all the time. And I would if only can she understand that I'm busy, I'm working. And I would find myself just walking past her room and having a fictitious argument about something she didn't say, and I'm just responding when she says, what are you doing? I'm saying I'm working. Why are you just let me work? I need to focus. And I just keep doing that. And the more I do it, the more she does it, the more she does it back. And that's when I, what I was telling you of, then I haven't learned that lesson.
But you can also turn around and say, Mom, I can't have you talking to me for the next 6 hours.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. But that's part of my lesson is that I now know.
Or you have to move out.
Well, I just moved back in. The 2 years where I moved out was a rebellion over this. I was dealing with it, but it was still difficult. And then there was a major fight where I got bad, some leaked news that I'm going to go to America and kick him out of the house. Whatever house he's living in, I'm just going to go sell the house and kick him out. So I was like, if she's going to threaten my security and want me to go back to Egypt to be under her wing,
right,
then I'm just going to get out and save my life. And I really was running for my life. That's why I packed my entire things and moved out. And it was 2 years, I think, until I came back. But when she got sick, I felt like I was, so I'm never, this is not... I can't say, bye, Mom, bye-bye forever. I'm still going to come back if she's sick or something happened to her. And we're here. I'm paying electricity down in Hollywood with foreign currency, and she's also paying. So let's come live together. And it was, a big part of it was also, I'm doing Uber all the time. I'm not doing comedy. I'm doing what I should do. So, then I have to be here and come. And then there was a honeymoon phase in the beginning where everything was fine and it was great, but then it was over. And then when it was over, I tried to take some of the goodwill from the honeymoon phase to be if you can just change your behavior and just do stuff for me that's going to make me feel better.
So funny.
And then she would say, yes, of course, but then she doesn't do it. And then I would get pissed off and get more angry. But then I'm no, I should be fine with whatever she does. what she does should not phase me. Her energy should not phase my energy. That's on me. So a lot of times now, when I wake up in the morning and I'm saying, "Hi, good morning, Mom," and she's like, "Oh, good morning, you son of a bitch." That happens. Not son of a bitch,
Very
personally.
interesting, your dynamic, because I can't imagine, first of all, I haven't spoken to my mother since May. And I have no ill will with her right now, but I had to set some boundaries. And they're things that I struggled with for my entire life. And I was like, you know what? I have to do this for me. And it's funny because people are like, wow, you haven't talked to your mom. And I'm like, no. And it's not that I won't talk to her again. I'm sure we'll talk. And it's not the end all be all. But what's interesting is that I, for the first time, saw our situation pretty clearly. And in a way, it's allowed me to heal certain aspects, right? So I don't know.
Wait, so I'm like, I don't want to put your mom on the spot here, but like, what is in all of the forgiveness stuff? Where does that relationship stand in the light
think it's
of?
super healthy to understand that my mother didn't protect me.
Okay.
She didn't. I can understand that she came from her own trauma. Okay. So my mom came from her own trauma, and in turn put me in very traumatic situations growing up, which in turn impacted my journey on this planet. Now, I'm okay. I understand that I needed all of it. Like, I'm not looking at it like, oh my God, I almost died and all this stuff happened, because I get that. But I've come to this point now where I'm like, listen, what you did was wrong. And if you're going to keep repeating these same patterns, they don't have a place in my life. And to cut off your family is really hard. I'm very much about family. And I've had to do it a couple times, but it was really difficult because I understood her plight. I understood where she came from. I understood her damage. I understood it. I empathized with it and all of that. But what I've realized moving through this life is, if it is not reciprocated, it doesn't have a value in my close relationships. It doesn't have that kind of value to me. And I don't mean you have to do the same of reciprocation, but the reciprocation of, if you want me to feel and love and have empathy and compassion for you, which I already have naturally because it's my nature, you better show up to some degree on the same and show the same back for me, or we're gonna have this. And it may just be part of my journey where I turn around and be like, oh yeah, it's all about forgiveness. I don't know. This is where I'm at in my life right now.
I understand that. I was gonna say, if you watched BoJack Horseman before,
No.
you should watch it. It's like, it has a lot of mom issues that are very similar to this. Like that show, when I was just talking about it to other people, I would cry.
BoJack Horse.
But it was Horseman. Will Arnett. But it was this, like, he's a washed up celebrity from the 90s, and drunk all the time, drugs, trying to come back. He can't. He keeps fucking and like bailing out on people who loves him. And it's like this, his mom is terrible. And you see his mom, she's a terrible person, and she's always like saying shit about him. And then like by season 4, which is 4 years later into the show, they show you how his mom came.
Right.
And then you see like her childhood, and you see what she went through, and you're like, and then you have
the empathy.
And then they flash back to him now, like, oh, fuck you, stay here in this home. I'm gonna stick you here. And she just like wakes up from a dementia, and then like, I think I have her picture here on one of my things here, like she's the horse on the Maltesers bag over there. It's just a reminder of, oh, they are not their children too, like they're children as well.
Right.
When she did whatever is the thing that screwed you over, or like made you like the most traumatic thing, she was younger than you now. And I just want you to think of how young.
Oh no, I know.
They were.
But here's what I have to say.
27-year-old is an idiot to know what they're doing.
You have to, when you're given a child who is the one that breaks the patterns, You are given a child who says, I am no longer continuing this with my daughter. I am no longer carrying the weight of our ancestry, of abuse, and of insulting my daughter.
That was you?
And my mother.
Oh, okay.
And her mother.
No, when you said
right?
when you're given the daughter, who's you're talking about
I am
you?
the
Or
daughter.
okay.
Yes, I am the daughter that you are given. I am the life lesson for my mother. Right?
But that was not when you came out of her womb. You did not like speak like Jesus and say, "I am the light. I am gonna change it. I am." She didn't know that.
No. So I can say that now at this point in our life, right? But what I have noticed, and I just what I find to be like really impactful is when you know that it's you and you're not making the choice to shift in some direction and help yourself, that's on you. And you're not allowed to dump that on someone else. Many of us run around projecting our damage and our hurt and our pain on people, right? I cut the slack for many years, and then and I was a big support. And what I did is I enabled the bad behavior. I enabled the child that needed to heal. I offered out and said, let's go to therapy. Let's do these things.
Rejected.
And for me, I'm like, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. When I fuck up, or even if my kid fucks up, and we're fucking up together, and we're fighting, and something's up, and she's hurt me really badly, my responsibility as the parent is to lead by example.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, that's a very evolved way of thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I made that choice.
But you are. Here's my analogy for this. Are you familiar with Windows software?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
So
Yeah.
you say DOS.
Yeah.
Is that reference?
Yeah.
Okay. Your parents are DOS. Your Windows 11. You can't expect DOS to play your videos.
It just does not have. But without DOS, you wouldn't have been able to build the Windows that you are today.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not regretful of
No,
DOS.
but I'm just saying that it's almost realizing that you're a new software. They're an older version of software that with features and capabilities that you have that they don't have.
They absolutely have them. We are human beings.
They are that's what I'm realizing. They are incapable of whoever is capable would have listened to you the first time. It wouldn't have been pulling teeth.
Absolutely. I think everyone's capable. I think that is a personal choice. I'm not asking for my mother to go and heal all her childhood shit. Okay, she's 78 years old, right? But what I'm asking for, and I don't think it's a lot, is for the parent to show up as a. She said something so funny to me. She goes, I deserve your respect. And I started laughing and I said, that's such an old way of thinking, right? And I said, well, no, you have to earn my respect just as if I have to earn yours. We're humans. And yes, I do look at this differently, but parents, the only job they have really is to help keep you alive for as long as you're responsible. And I mean, when you're a baby, to help, to keep you alive the best way they can, and to guide you and to bring you into this planet. It is what personally we choose on our responsibility with each other.
Perfect segue into choice. All of what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
When you're living in character. You know the character that I was telling you about? Okay. One of the NDEs stuff that I learned, and past life regressions, like children.
I watch all NDEs, all the shit. Yeah.
Children 2 to 4 years old, apparently the soul takes a couple of years to kind of settle inside your body. So within these first years, the first couple of years, children are still connected to the other side.
They're connected to the other side, and they're also connected to their own intuition.
And their past. So kids would talk about
My
things they've done.
My daughter's done it.
I want to hear that. I'll finish the story. It's a very short story. But from what I learned is that when you come here,
I've always had this religion is the way religion was talking about life was so unfair. because you have no choice of where you were born, which parents you get, which language you speak, which person who's going to molest you.
You have no choice in these things. Your life is basically a result of your draw for, I would say, that maybe the first 15 years.
What if you chose that?
That's exactly my point. And what I learned, that's why I'm like the spirituality stuff. I'm like, I'm more.
You're embracing it.
I'm more, but it answered that unfair question that I've had with old religion of like, why would God put me here and then be like, well, why did you turn out that way? Yes, because I was these conditions. So what I learned is that you, before you come here, you go do some exploring and you go around shopping, looking for a mom and a dad. And you say, oh, in this reincarnation, Jess is going to come here and learn forgiveness. Who can I choose? Which? Oh, this lady? Oh, she might actually like be able to develop consciousness and get out of it and apologize. No. We want somebody who's never going to apologize. This one.
See, that's forgiveness isn't my journey, which is funny.
But no.
No, but it is funny that you use that because it's not about forgiveness. Just and when we're going back,
I didn't mean to say. I was making an example.
Yeah, but I don't. That hit me, so maybe it is.
Maybe
about
it
forgiveness.
is. Maybe.
But it's not about me not forgiving. I think sometimes I'm like, no, it's not about me not forgiving.
I'm just saying this to say that.
But I actually don't. I think. I think we none of us know, right?
No,
we don't have the answer. But I think we probably. I make jokes about it all the time of like I'm like, I don't know if I think somebody said we need you to go down, and we need you to go. This is your purpose now, and I said no. I absolutely said no. I absolutely was like I was like, I don't want to go down.
You're on a mission. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I was like, no. And they're like, it's gonna be a little fucked up. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, no, but we need you to go down there because you're going to be part of this enlightenment movement.
Yeah, I feel something like that.
And you're gonna change by changing yourself, it's gonna change the children that you brought into this planet. And that's how change occurs, one person at a time.
And my point of all of this is that change would have never happened without your mother. Like the mother, we chose our parents because they're going to teach us something very specific that no one else can teach you.
Here's the thing. I totally agree with you.
Okay.
I don't regret any. I don't live in regrets. I don't have regrets. Like people think it's weird, right? People when I say
I don't have regrets either. Yeah.
People are like, what do you mean you don't have regrets? Like you don't. I said no, I don't have regrets. Like I realize anytime something happens, it has served a purpose. Yeah. I can look back and go that. Okay. I can even in the second deeper awakening that I walked through. Was like, I know this is part of a deeper level of healing. I wasn't ready for it. It would have killed me the first time. Now I know I'm going to come out of it. I'm hoping it's going to be sooner. Again, it took 2 years. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was really sick.
The sooner part is the common here.
My entire system to where my brain, my body internally this time was so taxed. I had to just sleep. Oh my God, and recover. I was processing stuff that was not of this lifetime. I can't explain what it is. I just knew it. But it is so funny because I processed it through another person. But what was interesting is this, not through them, but like I created this friendship that I couldn't explain, a soul connection that was heavy soul connection. And I remember texting back and forth and writing down all the things. I was like, I must have no self-worth. I must have da-da-da-da. I'm feeling triggered right now because of this. Everything I wrote down ended up being the last 2 years of the stuff I had to delve into and heal. It was so crazy. So I was literally getting the message, but didn't understand the depths that I had to go through. Life is nuts like that. But with my mom, it's not a lack of forgiveness. It's, I think it is very important that as much as you move and make choices from your heart, I think it is very important also because we are on this planet and we aren't just spiritual beings and we do live here and you have to be able to set boundaries, set laws for yourself and be able to protect yourself So you can keep stepping up. And I think the whole forever, like, I'm not talking to this person forever. I think you can forgive and you can have hope, but the hope runs out. Like, it can run out, and you can go, oh, wow, shit, I'm hoping for something that's not going to exist. And then you have to figure out how to coexist within that, which is what you're talking about. But sometimes you have to do more healing to find that. And space is a great thing.
I'll put it this way. I've had facial hair for 30 years. I tried doing a mustache, never worked.
Right.
Something in my personality now, with like me, we're talking about the feminine energies and like me embracing my masculine energy more and like be at peace with my feminine energy more. I was like, oh, this actually looks good. And it was just the right time. The mustache was there the entire time, but it was just, there was a right personality thing.
But that's what happens.
All I'm saying is that I'm not saying get off here and call your mom right now and just like make things up. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you've kind of, and I have people in my family right now that we're waiting for the phone call. It's going to happen one day where I keep putting out feelers for people to call and like calling them and I'm going to call you back. And it never happens. I found in myself the same resistance to not forgetting, but like even reopening communications again.
Oh, I'm not resistant.
I'm just saying.
But
like,
the ball is, there's times where you are not supposed to reach out.
Sure, exactly. That's what I mean.
And you have to know that. Like, you have to know when something happens where you don't actually give up parts of yourself and you say, this one's on you.
Sure.
You fucked up. And the only way you're going to be able, because what happens is the only way you're going to be able to come in a way to hear, understand, is if you do it.
Yes.
Not me.
It's like, again, the same thing of the same, what is it? You had a very nice succinct word that covered it. It's like this catch-22, the in-between of, yes, of course, you still have value. I'm not saying like, oh, go be a doormat. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm just saying that it's almost, yes, the timing of things are going to be right, but there is a piece inside you that when I was talking about my person and when I was talking to my person to someone else, and I found myself get irritated about it, while I was saying, but I forgive them, I was like, oh, then I haven't.
It's not.
It was just that.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
No, I know. And it's funny because I went, yeah, that hit me for
it was that moment, exactly.
But where I was like, oh shit, it's not even about forgiveness because I don't think I have forgiven. And I don't think I need to forgive.
Yes.
I think at this point, I'm like, I don't need to forgive. I forgave all of that. What I struggled with is, don't make me your bad guy. Don't make me your villain. I'm already a villain in a lot of stories on accident.
Yeah.
When you're in my circle, and that's family, sometimes your family isn't, that's a misconception that makes me laugh. And I know that people are like, but it's family and that's why. No, sometimes family serves its purpose. They're karmic relationships. Doesn't mean you're going to have a tie with them. Doesn't mean you're going to have another life with them. Doesn't mean anything.
It just means that their purpose was the lesson that you got from it.
Whatever.
That's really
and vice versa, or the lesson they're getting.
That's really it.
But it doesn't, just because you're born in a certain group, doesn't mean those are your people. And I know that's a hard one for a lot of us because they're like, oh no, you just take the shit, and oh no, you sit at. I don't want to sit at Thanksgiving and pretend. I don't want to pretend because, like you said, the character pretended. The character would sit and go, all right, I can't fucking stand this. Okay. No, that character would do that. The real person is okay to make enemies. The real person is okay when you know you're coming from the right place, you're trusting your intuition, your gut, you're not trying to hurt anybody. That's how it works. That's the real character. The real character can walk into a room and go, You may not like me, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's the acceptance of that
Yeah.
you're not for everyone.
No. All right.
I was gonna say something.
Talk to me.
We can close this out. Can you just walk me? Do you have like a morning ritual? Do you?
I wake up every morning. I have my coffee.
Do you meditate?
Smoke a few cigarettes.
Okay. Actual cigarettes, not.
No, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
disgusting. I'm quitting.
No, I love cigarettes.
No,
I love
I'm
cigarettes.
quitting. I'm quitting.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to the doctor.
We're all
to
quitting.
actually quit because I'm like, I'm done. That's the last piece.
He said mushrooms sometimes.
No, I don't do mushrooms.
To do a mushroom, it kind of kills the smoking cravings, and then you do it
really?
once. You know that thing when you do mushroom, it resets your default.
No.
It resets your default mode
Settings.
network. So there's like a certain amount of thoughts that are always in the forefront. Mushrooms reset that
I
for
can't do
like
any
6 to
drugs.
7 months.
I can't do drugs. My body is very sensitive to everything, so I can't do anything. So I'm one of those special people who has to learn how to manage all my stuff.
I'm trying to. This is my last nicotine. Like whatever I have here is going to be my final. So I'm also quitting nicotine.
I need to quit it. It's ridiculous. And part of the final outcome. But my morning ritual is I sit outside and I sit with myself and I listen to the birds and I'll shut my eyes and I listen to everything around me and I just sit. And then I'll go on my YouTube and I'll listen to some spiritual something to get my little intake. And then I'll walk down some rabbit hole and then I get my day going.
And then that takes how long? That's an hour,
Sometimes
2
it's
hours?
An hour, 2 hours. I sit outside in the morning all the time.
And if you don't start your day this way, is the day ruined?
No. I just reset it for the next day. It's like Weight Watchers.
Okay.
I just say the thing is we're so hard on ourselves, right? By the way we function, and just being hard on yourself does nothing. I'm going to say there's 365 days out of a year. I probably start 320 days like that. So if my 45 days don't start like that, I'm okay.
Okay.
And I walk and I hike and I put my music on and I dance in the garage and I really try to nurture every aspect of myself in that way. And I'm a kind of a loner. So even though you can't tell by my social media.
And your personality.
And my personality.
And your night routine, is it also as joyful or?
No, it just depends, right?
You sleep right
I'm
on time?
usually working. I do comedy probably 3 or 4 nights a week. So that is what it is. And then when I'm not, I actually didn't watch TV for like 3 years, which is so funny. I'm now watching shows, but like on Netflix, like a show.
It sounds like you're making it like this is part of work. I need to watch shows.
Not even.
It's just for fun.
I kind of just I'm enjoying some of them, and I mean I'm with my dogs and I play with my dogs and whatever. But I at night I don't really have like. I'm not a super ritualistic person. My mornings are my power mornings. My mornings are my time. So I wake up pretty early. I wake up at like 6:30 in the morning.
I love that.
So from 6:30 to 9 to 10 is like my window to like handle.
That was really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I want to our conversations are not going to end because I feel like your journey is very fascinating and we have a lot in common with the traumas and everything.
Yeah.
Jess, do you have any stuff to plug for my 4 listeners?
No, I mean, I'm always performing. You can follow me on the Jessica Winther on Instagram. That's where I post all my shows.
Put it in the thing.
Yeah, no. And I'm getting ready for the holidays.
Yay. Also, I want to compliment the Jorge. I don't know what you guys call this, but this is Jorge. I love these. I love these.
Always. A little ankle bracelet.
It's like a little ankle.
Yeah.
Except it's like it's for you. No one sees this.
No, it's mine.
And it's like somebody says like,
Yeah.
Jessica Winther, thank you so much for being
having
here.
me.
And that's the end of the podcast.